Hello and good day. This is Teacher Onan de Guzman. In this video, it explains the difference between simple and compound interest and how it can affect capital growth. Also, it explains how to use the compound interest formula to solve investment work problems. We will also discuss short tricks for solving simple and compound interest, which usually comes in any competitive exams. Our objectives for today, we have defined simple interest and compound interest. Number two is compute simple interest and compound interest, maturity value and present value, as well as solve problems involving simple interest and compound interest. So let's talk about first the definition of terms. We have interest is a fee paid for borrowing money or other assets, while simple interest is based on the principal amount on a loan or deposit, while compound interest is based on the capital or principal amount and the interest that accumulates on it every period. Let us also have lender or creditor. So it means this is the person or institution who invests the money or makes the funds available. While the borrower or debtor, these are actually person or institution who owns the money or avails of the funds from the lender, while the origin or loan date is the date on which money is received by the borrower, while the repayment date or maturity date is the date on which the money borrowed or loaned is to be completely repaid. Let's have also the time. So this is actually in terms of years the money is borrowed or invested. So it is refers to the length of time between the origin and the maturity dates. While the principal or the present value is amount of money borrowed or invested on the origin date. While the rate of interest, it is actually in terms of the annual rate. This is actually charged by the lender or rate of increase of the investment. While maturity value or the future value, it is the amount after the said years that the lender receives from the borrower on the maturity date. This is equal to the sum of the principal and the interest earned. So let's talk about the formulas on the simple interest. So we have here, okay, so we have simple interest is equal to the product of the principal rate and time. Okay, while the future value, this is the sum of the present value plus the simple interest. Or I can separate this one as, or substitute this one as, the future value is equal to the principal plus principal times rate times time. Or I can factor out the principal, so the shorter way is the future value is equal to the present value times 1 plus RT. So we have the following, okay, derived formulas. So we have the present value is equal to the interest divided by the product of rate and time, or the present value is equal to future value minus the simple interest, while the time is equal to your simple interest divided by principal times rate, while the rate is equal to the simple interest divided by principal times time. Let us have now our first example. Given that the principal is equal to 500,000, the rate is 12.5%, and the time is equal to 10 years, find the simple interest and the future value. So let's talk about first the simple interest, which is equal to principal times rate times time. Then we will simply plug in the values of the principal, rate, and time. So I have 500,000 times uh, 12.5% times 10. So we have the simple interest is equal to 625,000 pesos. Now, if we will look for the future value, so this is the present value plus the simple interest, substitute. We have now the principal is equal to 500,000 plus 625,000 as the simple interest. So therefore, the future value is 1,125,000 pesos. Let's have another example. So given that the rate is equal to 2.5%, time is equal to 4 years, simple interest is equal to 1,500 pesos. Find the present value and the future value. So let's talk about first the present value. So the present value is equal to simple interest divided by the rate times time. So take note that our simple interest is 1,500 pesos. The rate is 2.5% times 4. So, our present value is equal to 15,000 pesos. Next, if we want to find the future value, this is the present value plus the simple interest. So, we have, okay, future value is equal to 15,000 pesos plus 1,500 pesos. So, the future value is 16,500 pesos. Let's consider now the third example. Given that the principal is equal to 36,000, time is equal to 1 and 6 over 12 years or 1.5 years, and the simple interest is 4,860 pesos. Find the rate and the future value. So let's talk about first the rate. Rate is equal to simple interest divided by principal times time. Then simply plug in the values of the simple interest and okay, principal and the time. So we have 4,860 divided by 36,000 pesos times 1.5. So the rate is equal to 9%, or that is equal to 0.09 in decimals. Next, to find the future value, this is equal to the present value plus the simple interest. So plug in. So we have 36,000 plus 4,860. So the future value is equal to 40,860 pesos. Let's move on to the next problem. The given are, the present value is equal to 250,000. The rate is 0.5%. And the simple interest is 1,400 pesos. We would like to find the time as well as the future value. So let's look for the time first. So the time is equal to the simple interest divided by the present value times rate. So substitute the value. So we have 1,400 divided by 250,000 times 0.05%. So the time is equal to 1.12 years. Next, we would like to find the future value. So this is the sum of the present value and the simple interest. So we have 250,000 plus 1,400. So the future value is equal to 251,400 pesos. 5 over 12 year, find the simple interest and the future value. First, we have here the simple interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Then we will simply substitute the value of the principal, rate, and time. So we have here 10,000 times 4% times 5 over 12. So the simple interest is equal to 166 and 67 cents. Next one. Let's find the future value. So this is equal to the present value plus simple interest. So we have 10,000 plus 166.67 pesos. So the future value is equal to 10,000 pesos, 166 and 67 cents. So let's have more problem on simple interest. So a bank offers 1.5 annual simple interest rate for a particular deposit. How much interest will be earned if 1 million is deposited in the savings account for 1 year? So let's identify first the given. So the rate is equal to 1.5%. Then we have the present value or the principal is equal to 1 million, while the time is equal to 1 year. Again, let's recall that the simple interest is equal to the principal times rate times time. So we simply plug in the values of 1 million times 1.5% times 1. So the simple interest is 15,000 pesos. Again, so the interest is 15,000 pesos. Let's have another word problem. When invested at annual interest rate of 7%, the amount earned 11,200 pesos of simple interest in 2.5 years. How much money was originally invested? Again, let's identify the given first. So the rate is equal to 7% or 0.07 in decimal. The simple interest is 11,200 while the time is equal to 2.5 years. So we would like to find the present value. And the formula that we will use is the simple interest divided by rate times time. So we have 11,200 divided by 0.07 times 2.5. So the present value is equal to 64,000. So therefore, the amount of money originally invested was 64,000 pesos. Let us consider the next example on simple interest. Ricky borrowed 25,000 pesos and paid 1,250 pesos interest for 6 months. What was the rate of interest? Again, let's identify the given. So we have the present value of 25,000 pesos, while the simple interest is 1,250. The time is 6 over 12, so because that is only a half year or zero point 0.5 year. Again, we would like to find for the rate. So this is equal to the interest or simple interest divided by the principal times time. Then simply substitute the values. So we have 1,250 divided by 2,500 times 0.5. So the rate is equal to 10%. So finally, the rate of interest was 10%. The next word problem in simple interest is how long in years will it take for 17,300 to amount to 20,000 pesos at 11.25 simple interest. So first, let's identify the given. So the given are 17,300 for the present value, while the future value is 20,000 pesos, and the rate is equal to 11.25%. So we will have here the interest is equal to the difference of the future value and the present value. So 20,000 minus 17,300. So the interest is equal to 2,700 pesos. Next, we will look for the time. So the time is interest divided by the principal times rate. So we have 2,700 divided by 17,300 times 11.25%. So the time is equal to 1.39 years. So therefore, it will take 1.39 years for 17,300 to amount to 20,000 pesos. A while ago, we discussed about the simple interest. This time, we'll talk about the compound interest. So the compound interest amount in the future value is called maturity value. It is an accumulated amount obtained by adding the principal and the compound interest. Take note, in the compound interest, the interest will bear another interest. So that is why it is quite important to determine the conversion period. Sometimes we call this one as the frequency. So if we say conversion period, the number of times in a year that interest will be compounded. So here are the basic or the common conversion periods in a year. If we say annually, it means the frequency in a year is 1. Semi-annually, we have M is equal to 2, so meaning to say that is the conversion. Quarterly, M is equal to 4, and monthly, M is equal to 12. Before we solve problems on compound interest, let's have the following terminologies first. So we have number of conversion periods in symbol, that is N. That is the total number of times interest is calculated for the entire term of the investment or loan. Next is the annual interest rate or the nominal rate in symbol, that is R. That is the stated rate of interest per year. Next, the periodic rate. So in symbol, that is I. That is the interest rate per conversion period. And the present value of F is the principal P that will accumulated to F, if there is an interest at periodic rate I for the end conversion period. Let's talk about now the formulas that we will use for the compound interest. So the first one is the future value. So we have here, since our I, which is equal to the periodic rate, so the future value is equal to the present value times 1 plus r over m raised to mt. Okay. Also, the present value is equal to future value times 1 plus r over m raised to negative mt. While the compound interest is almost similar to simple interest, so that is actually future value minus the present value. Or, other formula is the present value times the expression 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. While the rate is equal to m, which is the conversion period, times the expression future value divided by the present value raised to 1 over n minus 1. Okay? And finally, the time is equal to log of the future value divided by the present value all over the conversion period times log 1 plus I. Let us consider this example on compound interest. Find the compound amount and the interest earned on 15,000 pesos for 1 year at 7% compounded semi-annually. Now, so let's identify first the given. So the present value is equal to 15,000 pesos. The time is equal to 1 year. The rate or the annual interest is 7% and our conversion is equal to 2 because it was mentioned here, it is compounded semi-annually. Next, let's look for the periodic rate. So recall that the periodic rate is equal to your annual interest rate divided by the number of conversion. So we have 7% divided by 2, so we come up with 0.035. Next one. So the total number of conversion is equal to m times t. Our m is equal to 2 times 1, so we have 2. So we have here, the future value is equal to the present value times 1 plus I raised to n. So substitute the value. So we have 15,000 pesos times 1 plus 0.035 squared. So the future value is 16,068 pesos 0.38 cents. Next, we will look for the compound interest. So like in the simple interest, we will subtract the present value to the future value. So we have 16,068.38 minus 15,000. So the compound interest is equal to 1,068.38. So therefore, the compound amount and the interest are 16,000 pesos, 68.38 cents, and 1,068.38 respectively. However, there's a shorter way in order to solve this compound interest. So we will use the alternative solution for solving the compound interest. In the formula of, compound interest is equal to present value times the expression 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. We simply plug in the given values. So we have 15,000 plus 1 plus 0.35. This is the one that we got a while ago, squared minus 1. So the compound interest is equal to 1,068.38, which is the same value that we got a while ago. Let us consider this next word problem. Find the compound amount and the interest earned on 15,000 pesos for 1 year at 7% compounded quarterly. So this time our M is equal to 4, while the present value, time, and rate is the same. Again, if we will look for the periodic rate, that is the annual rate divided by the number of conversions, so we come up with 7% divided by 4, so with that is equal to 0.0175, and the number of period is equal to m times t, which is equal to 4. Again, if we will look for the future value, so this is equal to present value times 1 plus I raised to n. So simply substitute of 15,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.0175 raised to 4, our future value is 16,077.89 pesos. While the compound interest is equal to future value minus the present value. So simply subtract 16,077.89 minus 15,000 pesos. So the compound interest is equal to 1,077.89 pesos. Again, if we will utilize the shorter way in order to solve this compound interest, take note that the given are actually the same. But we will use the shorter way to solve this compound interest. Again, the formula is compound interest is equal to the present value times 1 plus I raised to n minus 1. Take note that our n is equal to 0.0175, and let's simply substitute. So we have 15,000 times 1 plus 0.0175 raised to 4 minus 1. So the compound interest is still the same as 1,077.89 pesos. So let us analyze this word problem. So how much must be invested today in a savings account in order to have 50,800 in 6 years and 9 months if money earns at 5.4% compounded semi-annually? Again, so if we will analyze, so the future value is 50,800 because this is the money that you will have in the future. However, you are looking for how much money will you invest it today, which is actually your present value. Now, to solve this problem, let's identify the given. So the future value is 50,800 pesos, while the time is 6 years and 9 over 12 years, or this is equal to 6.75 years. The rate is 5.4%, and the M is equal to 2 because we have here semi-annually. So it is compounded semi-annually. So next, we have the I, or what we call the periodic rate, is equal to the rate, annual rate, divided by the number of conversion. So we come up with 0.054 divided by 2, or 0.027. And n, or the total number conversion, is equal to m times t. So that is 2 times 6.75. So which is equal to 13.5. Now, let's look for the present value. The present value is equal to future value times 1 plus I raised to negative n. We have negative n here. So we have 50,000 times 1 plus 0.027 raised to negative 13.5. So we have present value is equal to 35,000 pesos, 453.79 pesos. So therefore, the amount of 35,453.79 pesos must invested today in order to come up with a future value of 50,800 pesos. So that ends our discussion for today. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified on my new videos. Thank you.